Hersom Acorn Newspapers, publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersom Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports, HANradio.com, streaming live on the Hersom Acorn Network. John Kovach joined by Mike Suppy. We are pinch hitting for Rob Adams today. Let's take a look at today's headlines since coffee break went off with Kate Chaplinsky.
Thanks, John. Well, a Seymour man pleaded guilty Tuesday to charges of keeping his mentally ill sister captive for years in a locked, filthy bedroom. As part of the plea deal, 59-year-old author Gavin pleaded guilty in Superior Court to lesser charges of first-degree abuse and cruelty to persons. He now faces 5 to 10 years in prison when sentenced in July. Officers found the 56-year-old sister covered in urine and feces inside a bedroom that police described as a dungeon, with an odor so foul that police could not breathe, according to court documents. Neighbors told police she had been living in those conditions for years. In other news, a second suspect has been arraigned for the murder of a shop owner in Bridgeport. Captured Monday after a 2-week manhunt, 18-year-old Trezzy Lopez was arraigned Tuesday for the fatal shooting of a popular store owner. Lopez, who was arrested in West Haven, is charged with felony murder in the April 11th fatal shooting of Jose Salgado. Judge Robin Pavia continued the case to May 19th. Police said Lopez and 22-year-old Leighton Vanderberg went into Salgado's Lexington Avenue store to rob it, and during the robbery, one of the men shot Salgado in the neck as the store owner was handing over the money. In the wake of rioting in Baltimore, area police departments are warning that local officers could be in danger. New Canaan Police Chief Leon Krolikowski issued a warning that unrest in Baltimore could endanger the lives of officers here or anywhere else. Rioters in Baltimore have been fueled by fury over the death of Freddie Gray, who died of a spinal cord injury sustained while in police custody. Krolikowski sent a release to the media saying that they should be aware of credible threats toward all law enforcement throughout the nation. He said the Baltimore Police Department's Criminal Intelligence Unit has distributed and learned that members of various gangs, including the Black Guerrilla family, Bloods, and Crips, have entered into a partnership to, quote, take out law enforcement officers. Krolikowski told the Advertiser that Bloods and Crips and their followers have been known to be active in Connecticut cities, including Bridgeport, Norwalk, and Stamford. Voters in Monroe head back to the polls today for the second budget referendum. The proposal in front of them will be about $118,000 lower than the $84.5 million package that went down in defeat 3 weeks ago. Though some in town would have liked to see a steeper reduction, First Selectman Steve Vavrick said the reduction was the most that could be reasonably made without affecting town services. Polls in Monroe are open tonight until 8 p.m. Quick look at the traffic. I-84 westbound is now closed in Middlebury due to a car fire there. The weather right now, mostly sunny in Shelton, 57 degrees. And that's all. John, back to you.
Thanks, Kate. Again, John Kovach with Mike Suppy. We're sitting in for Rob Adams today, host of Nutmeg Sports. Rob should be back tomorrow. Mike, we've got some NFL news, and it's a huge sports week. You've got the Kentucky Derby Saturday, first Saturday in May. You've got 5 years too late Mayweather-Pacquiao Saturday night. You've got the NFL Draft Thursday night. It really should be Saturday. I'm not a huge fan of the move to Thursday night primetime because I like the ability to book my Saturday solid and watch the draft. And then we've got some NFL news that came down in the in the past hour. The league forfeiting its tax-exempt status, calling it a distraction, and that should leave Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal to find other things to focus on for a little bit. You can stop distracting him. And then if you're a Dolphin fan like myself, you can look back on the fact that they traded up 2 years ago to get Deion Jordan, who's failed another test.
Strike 3 and you're out.
He's going to miss the year, and it would be nice to see the guy in a uniform every now and then.
It sounds like the extracurriculars are getting in the way for him.
At some point, you've got to say enough. I mean,
There was rumors he was about to get traded, too, which is a double kick in the shins for the Dolphin fans, that they were going to maybe profit from his non-production on the field there.
Well, so much for that, huh?
Best laid plans go up in smoke.
That's
Perfect
the end of
segue
that.
for that.
But watching the draft, and if you're in Connecticut, you're a Connecticut football fan, you're always kind of pulling for the local guys. And it's going to be curious to see how UConn's top guy at the Combine falls into the plans over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as the teams set their rosters.
Yeah, I mean, Byron Jones, he was a Combine standout and did himself a lot of favors with how he performed there. And there's rumblings now that he's going to possibly be a first-round pick, which he's really skyrocketed up the charts. And it's good to see a local kid like that coming from St. Paul Catholic, coming in and doing a great job at UConn, a 4-year player, a leader, and to have a chance to go on to the next level and possibly, show what he can do there. UConn always seems to have a few guys that do that. More so when Randy Edsall was there, where he would, take those 2-star recruits and get them turned into NFL players. But Jones looks like he's going to be the next guy to step in here, possibly.
For him to go first round would be a feather in UConn's hat. Do you think that would help keep some of these Connecticut kids at home? I mean, the high school coaches who pushed for the hiring of Paul Pasqualoni said he would be able to recruit Connecticut and keep the local guys home. I've seen Bob Diaco speak, talked to some of those guys. They want to recruit the Connecticut player and keep them in Connecticut. Does getting a Connecticut player drafted to play on Sundays help elevate the UConn football program to where it wants to be, a legitimate Division I team?
Well, it can't hurt, but I think more of the problem with that is there's not a wealth of Division I products in the state. At least this past year, I think there was fewer than 10. I can't remember the exact number, but I mean, it's always good to keep those good players at home, and they did that with Jones. And I mean, they've done that with some of these guys, but your Arkell Newsoms and whatnot. But I mean, that's how any program, gets its roots going. They keep the guys that are the good players that they need to stay home. They keep them home, like they did with Dan Orlovsky. And all it takes is one guy, as that showed. One guy can turn the program around, and if they get, that one quarterback, that one running back, that one wide receiver, pretty soon you have a whole team. And that's how you, go to the bowl games and you go to a Fiesta Bowl like they did a few years ago, where it wasn't that long ago, but it seems like it was a long time ago.
It seems like forever.
Yeah, I was there, and it was a good time, but, obviously they were overmatched, but they're not Oklahoma by any stretch of the imagination. They didn't have a DeMarco Murray on the team there like Oklahoma did.
They don't need to be Oklahoma.
No.
Be
totally
Navy.
not.
Be
how Syracuse
Miami
used
of
to be.
Ohio. Be what Syracuse used to be. There you go. Are you a big draft guy?
Yeah, I'm like you said with the Saturdays. I was more of a Sunday, rounds 4 through 7 guy.
Oh yeah.
Those were those ones that always killed me. Like when they would run out of tape on the guys, and it would just be, some grainy footage that somebody took on a cell phone camera. It would seem like, but that's where you look at the Seattle Seahawks they have something like 7 or 8 like guys that were picked later than the 5th round. That's how you build a team in the NFL nowadays, especially with the new contract where the rookies make far less money than they used to. And it's really, the player development and the drafting has really moved to the forefront of the league with the team building, it seems like.
Does the move to Chicago hurt it?
To me, it does. I've been to the NFL draft, and but it's, it goes along with their thing moving into prime time. It's an event for them. They can shop it around, like the other leagues do with their all-star games and their drafts. I know the hockey draft, they move it around to all the different places, and it seems to be gaining popularity where people are watching on the NHL Network and stuff like that. But it's all bargaining chips and leverage and things like that. So
I would not be opposed to seeing them moving it around. I went once too. Unfortunately, I went the year when the Texans picked David Carr. And everybody knew the Texans are going to pick David Carr. He's already signed. And we're going to burn all 15 minutes. And then everybody's going to burn all 15 minutes. And I'm woefully underdressed for the meat locker that was the theater at Madison Square Garden that day. And for 8.5 hours froze to watch 32 guys get picked.
I believe that was where Joey Harrington was picked by the Lions, and they ran that awesome promo of him playing the piano and part of his draft package.
I stood next to J-Pep shortly after he got drafted that day. Somehow I end up in the same hallway as Julius Peppers. He's the biggest human being I have ever seen.
Yeah, not too many NFL players doubled as the power forward on a nationally ranked college basketball team like he did.
I'm walking, also I'm looking next to some guy's arm. I'm like, what am I standing next to? And I look up and it's J-Pep, which was quite cool. But I happened to be in a place where they played the NHL draft lottery the other night. Congratulations, New Canaan's Max Pacioretty's moved on to the next round. I know he's taken some pops at Ottawa through social media a little bit. That's a rivalry that's really taken off. So we'll see Pacioretty in the second round. But in the NHL draft lottery, Edmonton won again. What would you think of, and it might be tough to do logistically, having the draft in the city that has the number one pick? Would that build up the heat?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a great idea. I mean, but the thing is media, are they going to be able to afford to send, say, Edmonton has it. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump for some of these other cities to send, their entire draft detachment over to that city.
True.
And, I mean, it could work, though. But I think they try to go for the more centralized place. I mean, will there even be enough hotels for all the?
Well, that's it. And they wanted
they
want to be in the media hotspot in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago still. I don't care where it is, and it doesn't bother me whether or not the guys are going to be there. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'll live. It actually, because I coach and work with the kids every day, it kills me to sit there and watch these kids sit and waiting for the pick. I'm wondering why they haven't gone. It is like being the last kid picked for recess kickball, except the whole world is watching you.
Yeah, it's that rubbernecking mentality when people were all excited to see Brady Quinn I think he was like the last one in there, Aaron Rodgers, stuff like that.
Aaron Rodgers jumps out. I mean, all of those.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame those guys. I mean, Mariota's staying in Hawaii, right?
He wants to be in Hawaii. Jameis Winston wants to be with his family. You should be with your family.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go sit there with, in a suit and be stuffy and have to sit there with my arms crossed and have to, wear my hat with the straight brim and glad hand with the commissioner and all those guys. I'd rather just, hang out and enjoy my last few days before I become a professional athlete.
Yeah, because you're going to start working out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, mini camps are right around the corner for the rookies.
So what have you been covering?
A little bit of everything. The old here, there, and everywhere. But baseball, softball, lacrosse, a little volleyball mixed in. Spring sports keeps everyone busy with the compressed schedule.
It really is. It really is a compressed schedule. It's not. I always found when I was a sports writer, the winter season was the most difficult because you never saw the sun.
Yep.
Because you're just constantly working nights. You couldn't wait till spring. It never hit me till I coached track just how quick the spring season goes. Just all of a sudden, you're having the first day of practice, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, we're in the championships. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, you're going from basically December through March and then into a spring season that's mid-April to early June, and it's kind of a shock to the system where you look at the schedule and basketball teams have half their games played, and it's like, January, and then you look at baseball, and these teams are almost halfway through their schedule, a lot of them already, and the season just started a couple weeks ago, so it's crazy.
You can watch, if you're listening and you're not driving the car. If you drive in the car, don't watch the live stream. But you can watch the live stream, hanradio.com/live stream. Click on live. You'll be able to sync up the audio, see us in HD for what that's worth. It's fun to be doing the streaming audio and to have the option radio, video. And I really wish more folks, hope they are, taking advantage of plugging the smartphone into their car, listen over the car speakers like you would to any other sports talk show. You got something you want to talk about, you can call us 203-442-9055, and we will get you on. We are going to be stepping out in a minute, and we will be bringing on Dave Stewart, the sports editor of the New Canaan Advertiser and the webmaster for FCAC.net. We're going to talk about a lacrosse matchup he and I called on Saturday, talk about some other things, and we'll spend the next half hour talking about high school sports and setting the stage for the second half of that season, Mike.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Great. You're listening to and watching Nutmeg Sports on hanradio.com.
Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
Yeah, hey, this is John Ratzberger. You listen to hanradio.com.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on hanradio.com, streaming live, or you can listen on the audio. John Kovach and Mike Suppy sitting in for Rob Adams this Tuesday afternoon. Sunny day, be a number of games today. We had a beautiful day Saturday, and we had a big matchup between two of the top teams in their divisions in FCAC boys lacrosse. Dave Stewart and I were on the call. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights from that game. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, we will be taking a look back at some of the highlights from that game. Here we go. And then we'll bring Dave Stewart in. Good afternoon, everybody. Live on a brisk but beautiful Saturday afternoon
HANradio.com and the Hersom Acorn Network, in conjunction with the National Federation of High Schools, bring you high school boys lacrosse, an intriguing and crucial FCAC matchup between visiting Greenwich and the Rams of New Canaan, live from Dunning Field. Brings it up the left side, cuts to the middle, lofts a pass, and a jumping shot by Michael Sands. Here with it, he takes a shot. Burt with it, back to Kraus. Kraus being really hammered on defense, and he fires a shot high and back behind, finds Meichner, back to Kraus. Kraus fires the same shot off the post. Shot. Working the perimeter, behind the net with it now, Meichner. Meichner goes inside. He finds Ryan O'Connell, and O'Connell ties it up.
Perfect feed on that. Rogan had no chance.
Behind the goal to Kraus. Kraus runs. He's being marked by Tidy. He outlets. He shovels it off to Meichner. Now to the front. What a patient job.
Wow.
And Peter Swindell. Under 20 to go. They're working the perimeter. They're trying to find a cut. There's the cut. There's the bounce shot in. And it's Ryan O'Connell again for the Rams, bouncing it past Tommy Rogan. Runs toward the net, stops behind it, flips it back to Ryan O'Connell, and there's a goal for the Rams. Give the illusion thereof. Back to a pelt, reverses field, comes Kraus now. Kraus cuts in, bounces a shot, and ricochets it in. Advantage.
Yes.
4.5 to go. Greenwich 7-6, tied up.
Nice little dump in from Meichner.
To a pelt. A pelt being guarded by Griffin Tidy. Now Meichner. Meichner tries to work the perimeter. He fires it in. Two defenders converge on Justin Meichner, but Meichner fires the shot in from about 15 yards out. And New Canaan has the lead for the first time today, Dave.
It's on Dumbold on New Canaan.
Okay, so Greenwich a man up, working the perimeter, and firing the shot over the left shoulder of Drew Morris is Michael Sands. Sands' high pass is snagged by Curran to keep it alive. In the middle of Scooter Harrington, back out to Sands, bounces a shot in. This is on the extra man to take a 9-8 lead.
Fired it right at him.
The penalty is over. Brought up Greenwich. Moriarty just lays it in past Dumble. A low, slow shot. With the cut and the goal, it's Perry. Perry just runs up to the right of Drew Morris and gets it over his shoulder.
And my color analyst on Saturday's game. Dave, thanks for joining us. All right, we're going to step out, take a break, and be right back with more Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com, streaming on the Hersom Acorn Network. Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the Knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
This year, 3,000 Connecticut women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. HRSA Acorn is a proud sponsor of the Komen Connecticut Race for the Cure. Help make an impact in the local fight against breast cancer by joining us on May 9th in Westport at Sherwood Island. With your help, Komen Connecticut invests in local breast cancer programs, helping local women beat breast cancer. Visit KomenCT.org to register, volunteer, or donate today. We race for Connecticut. Why will you race?
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersom.
You're listening to HRSA Acorn Radio.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports, HANradio.com, streaming live on the HRSA Acorn Network. John Kovach with Mike Suppy, pinch hitting for Rob Adams today. We had Dave Stewart on. We're in a new studio. If you've watched the show before, if you've watched, you noticed. If you listen, you would have no way of knowing. But we're in a new studio. It's a work in progress, and we ran into something that we had Dave. We couldn't hear him. We're going to move on and just get going there. And we'll have Dave on in the coming days. But, he and I had that game, just a game of runs there, Mike, where Greenwich pulled away. It looked like they had it out of reach. New Canaan comes back, and then Greenwich just steps on the pedal again and pulls away. And you have one defending state champ beat a runner-up from last year. And Greenwich, 3 wins last week, 2 by 1 goal, and then they beat Greenwich by 3. That's a good week for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, they've shown the ability to win big and to win the tight games. You mentioned the 1-goal wins over Ridgefield and St. Joe's, pulling away late against New Canaan 13-10. But I mean, they beat Danbury 17-2, West Hill 15-0. I mean, they can do some things out there, and being able to win any kind of game that you come in contact with is definitely something that teams that win state tournaments have shown that they can do.
Cardinals 6-0 in the FCAC, 6-2 overall. The 2 losses to out-of-state teams, 2 losses are to New York teams. They lead Staples, who's 5-1, 7-1. They beat Staples last year in the final. That's in the West Division. Ridgefield up there as well, 3-1 in the FCAC, 5-2 overall. We look at the East Division. Darien 7-0 overall, 4-0 in the FCAC, leading. That was New Canaan's first FCAC loss. They and Wilton are both 3-1. New Canaan 4-2 overall. Wilton 4-3 overall. Take a look at the FCAC baseball standings. In theory. And that's where it's really interesting how, Greenwich 3-3 leads the division.
Yeah.
Just at percentage points ahead of Stamford 4-4. You had 3 500 teams in a log jam atop the Western Division, and then you go to the Eastern Division, and Darien's 8-0, 8-2. Norwalk leading the Central Division 6-1 in the FCAC, 7-2 overall. The impressive thing with Darien is I think a lot of times you get a town and they either have a strong lacrosse program or a strong baseball program. They're not mutually exclusive, but you tend not to see them out of the same town. And here in Darien, at least in the FCAC, we're seeing just that.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a couple of impressive wins in the baseball diamond, beating St. Joe 17-2, which is not something you see every day, a lopsided scoreline like that. I mean, they've also beat up on the Bridgeport schools for what will be the final time this year. But, I mean, they're rolling right now. I think they won 7 straight. And going into the midseason, I don't think you could draw it up any better than that. I mean, they have another relatively easy game coming up on Friday against Bassick, which you can write that one in pencil probably as a win for them.
Bassick and Harding leaving the FCAC at the end of this season, the end of this school year, for the Constitution State Conference, which began as a conference for the technical schools, which are run by the state. Mm-hmm. Then co-ops came in, and now you're seeing public schools that don't do well in their area filter in. And I've said it before. I'll say I don't know that that's what that conference was built for. I coached in that conference. I always viewed that conference as a chance for the tech school kids who might otherwise not have a chance to play to have an opportunity to play and succeed. We had, more so than anywhere else I've coached, kids who had never played the game before at Platte Tech when I was there, and in that, because they didn't have that, there was an opportunity that wasn't handed to them. Now, some of the kids in the Bridgeport schools, same thing. They're probably of that same socioeconomic thing where they may not have had the opportunity to play in a feeder program. But is it the right move to have any public school that's struggling move? I mean, do you just shop conferences till you find one you can do well in?
It seems like a lot of schools tend to do that, but I agree. I don't think the Constitution Conference should be treated like the island of misfit toys, where you just put any team that's struggling in its conference in there. And but I mean, nowadays, high school is no different from college, no different from pros. Teams move around in different divisions and conferences and things like that, and it's just something that everyone has to adapt to. But I agree, they should have their own level playing field where they can go, because sometimes scholastic sports aren't just about trying to get a scholarship or things like that. It's about giving kids a chance to play a sport that's going to help them develop in their life more than anything.
That's what it's about. It's an extension of the curriculum, whether everybody understands that or not. And there are lessons that you learn there that you wouldn't learn anywhere else. You're in pressure-packed situations where you learn how to think under pressure. You learn how to overcome failure, and the failure is readily marked and readily recognizable. There's no gray area to it. It's a very black and white world.
Yep. Teamwork, another thing that...
Exactly.
Things like that, relying on one another. But, like you said, it's going to be a little different with some of these other teams coming in there, especially on the football end, because these teams are used to playing at a certain level of competition, and they're going to be going down to another conference where the competition is going to be new to them, but they're going to have experience facing these double L powerhouse teams, and a team that might not have won a lot of games in the FCAC could go in there and make some noise, on the football field for sure.
Certainly. Now, taking a look at the FCAC softball standings, this is through yesterday, and you've got teams that are clearly, and there's where there's a lot of separation. You look at the West, Trumbull 6-1, 8-1 overall. Stamford 6-2, 7-2 overall. And then your third place team's West Hill at 4-3. Central Division, Ridgefield's 5-1, Norwalk and Ward both 5-2. Although overall, Ridgefield's 5-3, Norwalk's 5-3, and Ward is 7-2. And then St. Joe's, as they always do, they just reload. They don't rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, they're impressive again this year as they were last year, and they're a team that, like you said, they just bring in different cast of characters every year, and they still find themselves sitting at the top of the league and state standings when all is said and done for the most part.
And then right up toward the top again is Darien in second place in the FCAC East in softball, 9-1 overall, 7-1 in the conference, and again, it's a program, it's a town that's just pumping out winners, because again, you think about having strong teams in both lacrosse and baseball, and how often do you see that? And now you look at Darien in girls lacrosse. They're in second place in the FCAC East. They're 4-0 overall. I'm 4-0 in the FCAC, 5-2 overall. They trail New Canaan 5-0, 7-1. In the West Division, Greenwich 3-0, 5-2 overall, and they're ahead of Ridgefield 5-1, 6-1, and Staples 3-1, 5-2. But Darien, I mean, they keep winning every time they take the court, the ice, the field, the golf course, the whatever they go to.
It's a good overall year for them in Scholastic Sports for sure. It's going to get a little crowded in the trophy case.
It's a nice place to be if you can get there.
Totally. I'm sure a lot of schools would want to sign up for that.
You would think. 246 on your Nutmeg Sports. John Kovach and Mike Suppy were pinch hitting for Rob Adams. Hoping Rob is back tomorrow. Let's take a look at today's schedule. You've got Norwalk at New Canaan. Let's start with baseball. Probably helps to tell what sport. In baseball, you got 3 games in the FCAC: Norwalk at New Canaan, Trumbull at Danbury, and Northwestern's at Ludlow. Those all 4 o'clock starts. In softball, you've got Ward at Staples, New Canaan visits West Hill, Norwalk's at Bridgeport Central, Fairfield Ludlow's at Ridgefield, and Wilton's at Trinity Catholic. Those are all 4 o'clock starts except for the Wilton Trinity Catholic game. That a 4:30. Boys lacrosse, you've got McMahon Stamford at 4. Pleasantville, New York's visiting St. Joe's at 5. West Hill's at Trumbull at 6. Ridgefield at Wilton at 6:30. Norwalk at New Canaan at 7. Girls lacrosse, Ludlow at Amity 3:45. Trumbull at West Hill 4 o'clock. Darien at Danbury 4:30. Wilton at Norwalk 4:30. New Milford at Stamford 5. Ridgefield travels. It's probably their shortest road trip of the year, and it's to a different state. Ridgefield travels to John Jay at 6. New Canaan visits McMahon at 7. And Staples travels to Ward at 7 o'clock. So those are your FCAC matchups for today. What are you covering as the week winds down, Mike?
I got a big inter-city showdown tomorrow between Foreign and Law Baseball, 2 teams that definitely need to pick up a win to help their standing for qualifying for the state tournament. Then Saturday, it's going to be all across day. We have the game that we're doing, and I'm double dipping. I'll be doing a game earlier in the morning that day, too. I believe it's Massac and Stratford, little SWC lacrosse.
What's the best game you've seen this year?
I think that Ludlow Ward baseball game at Harbor Yard was probably the best game that I've seen in the spring season. That was a competitive game. It was, home runs, good pitching, good defense, good rivalry. It was an all-around pretty good game. Definitely had a playoff-like atmosphere there.
Now, we are scheduled to be back with you with baseball on Friday at 4 from Ridgefield, where Josh Fisher and Rob Adams were on the call yesterday. Staples at Ridgefield. They covered New Canaan, Ridgefield yesterday. New Canaan jumps out after an inning and a half to a 5-0 lead and loses 10-7. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
that's a tough one to bounce back from.
Yeah, that's tough. You don't. Those are tough ones always to come back from when you squander a lead like that, for sure.
So we will have that for you, weather permitting, on Friday at 4. And then Saturday at 4, boys lacrosse from a field we really just fell in love with, and that is the new Rafferty Stadium, which replaced Alumni Field at Fairfield University, where New Canaan will take on Fairfield Prep. Always a good game there.
Yeah, I mean, 2 teams, you mentioned New Canaan before, how well they've been doing, and then also you have another team in Fairfield Prep that has some losses to out-of-state teams and doing pretty well for themselves in state. But again, it's games that get you ready for the postseason, and I'm sure those are teams that don't really mind where they are in the regular season because they're going for the bigger prize down the road, for sure.
That they are, and Fairfield Prep having a big year on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few unbeaten teams left in the state. But
Yeah,
that also happened last year too. with them.
Not only are they winning, but I mean their closest game is.
They played a 1-run game against Hamden. I think off the top of my head, I might be wrong about that.
I'm trying to see here. You've got 9-1 over East Haven, 7-0 over West Haven, 13-6 over Cheshire, 11-3 over Hamden, 22-2 over Career Magnet, 4-1 over Amity. That's your
That was the one
closest.
I was thinking of.
9-3 over Notre Dame West Haven, 6-2 over Hand, 14-3 over Hand, 7-1 yesterday over Xavier. West Haven, who they've already beaten, right?
Yep. That was they shut him out earlier in the year. Plus Cheshire, who they beat and who's having a good season as well.
That team is just lights out right there. I really would welcome an opportunity to see them play.
Yeah, they had an agenda this year, and they're not taking anybody lightly and just disposing of all competition in their way at this point of the season, where they're halfway through, so they've beaten every team that they faced so far. So, and they face these teams again in the second half of the schedule. It should be interesting to see if any of these teams can make adjustments and maybe knock them off here. Always tough when you have a pitcher like Stone out there, though. Throwing
Stone's
90 miles
just
an
lights.
hour.
Is he getting looks? Do you know?
I
would think he has to be.
I'm sure there's scouts aplenty at his games, but I mean, a kid with already an Ivy League, a spot in an Ivy League team, it's always going to be a tough sell for a team to try to dissuade him from pursuing that, at least for a couple of years.
Now, Prep Lacrosse, after opening the season with a loss at Chaminade, which there's no shame in that. Then they beat Wilton, beat Shelton, lose to Del Barton, which is another. I mean, when I was a kid, Del Barton had lacrosse. I grew up in New Jersey. Del Barton, Mountain Lakes, they had lacrosse. Nobody else had lacrosse down there.
They got an early start.
My school just added it within like the past 10 years. Prep beat Branford, but then they get upset by Hand.
Yes, 8-6.
That's the one that jumps out. They beat Guilford yesterday, and now they're idle until that matchup with New Canaan.
I mean, that's a long layoff there of almost a week for them to get ready for this big matchup, and I'm sure they'll be prepared. That's for sure. I mean, they're gonna want to get the taste of that Hand game out of their mouths, which being Guilford 12-5 will certainly help along those lines. But getting back there, crossing over against an FCAC team, I'm sure they'll want to make a statement there, and it should be a good one on Saturday night.
Now, they're idle all the way through, but New Canaan, coming off that 13-10 loss to Greenwich on Saturday that we played the highlights from a little bit ago, they've got Norwalk tonight at 7, and then they travel to Danbury at 4:30 on Thursday. They've got a normal work week. That'll be their third game of the week, where Prep it basically has the time off to prepare. Where would you rather be? Would you rather be with the time off to work on it, or would you rather be in that groove, in that rotation where you know that every 2 days you're taking the field and playing?
I think I'd rather have the time off, to be honest, because I know practice time is few and far between during the spring season for any sport. But to have basically a whole week to run some practices would probably be. I wouldn't be surprised if Prep came out with some different wrinkles that they haven't shown anyone yet, because that's like you said, a long layoff for them to have between games. It's definitely a time where you can work on some new stuff, maybe some new plays and things like that.
And you can also get a day off or a light day in there, and you need those from time to time because it does become a grind. And as much as the long season's a grind, when you've got that compressed spring schedule like you talked about.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Any rest you can get in there and, any kind of light practices is definitely going to be beneficial, later in May and into the playoff season for sure.
And that's, I mean, you need to be rested for the playoffs.
Yeah, because again, they go fast. Once they start, you're playing every other day usually until you get towards the end of it.
Dave Stort and I were talking the other day about how the weather can really affect your success as a baseball program, because if you have that ace, like say Stone for Fairfield Prep, and you can throw them on regular rest, that's great. you start to get rainouts and your schedule starts to get backed up. It's not the rainout that hurts you. It's when they reschedule 3 days in a row and you can't throw your ace when you wanted to throw your ace. That's the one where it bites you a little bit.
Suspensions, things like that,
Yeah.
suspended games. I mean, it
Yes.
seems like every time it's the first day of the state tournament, there's always rain for baseball. I mean, I've gotten poured on plenty of times out there with that, for sure. And it's, like you said, it depends. The weather has a lot to do with it. And that's why you need 3 good pitchers usually to make a run, because these teams that get by throwing their number one and basically only winning the games that the number one pitcher is starting, they're not going to last long in the tournament, because the one-off baseball tournament is the one where you see a lot of the upsets, like we talked about before, where these teams have great regular seasons and they get stuck throwing a guy maybe who is not their number one guy and they get beat. And the teams that have the pitching depth are the ones that go further into the tournament.
The guys who can get a 1 and a 1A are the ones who go really far.
Totally.
If you've got a 1 you can rely on, that's awesome. If you can have a guy who maybe he's not a 2 but he's a 1A,
Yep.
you've got an arm up on a competition, let's say.
And, go ahead.
No, go.
There's certain exceptions with that. I know when West Haven won it, they had Tom Lawrence, who threw it seemed like every tournament game the way it fell because of the weather. But you'd rather have the 3 guys or the 1, the 1A, and maybe the 1C.
Yeah.
And because that's the more pitchers the merrier. I know any coach will tell you that. But the games, the single elimination state tournament, it's really baseball. Is not really a game there's really at no level is it a one and done, maybe Little League World Series. But, I mean, high school, it's unforgiving. You could be 19-1 and 20-0, and you can lose in the first round pretty easily, where you don't see that happen as much in the other sports, where it's mostly chalk for a lot of the playoff stuff.
And, we're talking baseball. Bridgeport Bluefish back in action tonight. Somerset Patriots are in for 3. You've got a 7:05 start tonight. It is Terrific Tuesday. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Night. Miss Connecticut USA will be there, and it's a Pinpalooza pennant giveaway. And then they're back in action with one of those school day specials. 10:30 first pitch tomorrow, Wednesday, April 29th. That's the first official weekday game of the season. We are going to step out, take a break, come back, wrap things up, and get some more headlines from Kate Chaplinsky. You're listening to and watching Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com. Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Located in the heart of picturesque downtown Ridgefield at 13 Governor Street, Colby's is the area's premier retailer for blinds, shades, shutters, and draperies, and is one of the select few Hunter Douglas Gallery dealers. A family-owned and operated company, Colby's experienced staff will work with you in choosing the best treatments for your home or office and offer free measuring and expert installation. Colby's also carries an extensive line of decorative fabrics including Schumacher, Durley, Tebow, and more. Or browse over 400 books in our wallpaper library from famous designers such as Stroheim, Schumacher, Ralph Lauren, Tebow, and York. Take advantage of our Fashion in Motion savings event with savings and rebates on Hunter Douglas shades with Power Rise technology. Colby's of Ridgefield. We are committed to your complete satisfaction. 203-438-8531.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Hersom Acorn and HANradio.com.
Well, excuse me. Thanks, Don. You're cursing me into choking as we come back on. Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports. John Kovach and Mike Suppy. Thank you, too. Behind the scenes, Tracy Iazi, Marty Hersom, AJ Seminowski helping us out today behind the scenes. We didn't talk about Tyler Varga of Yale, who could also end up getting drafted. He's going to be on the Dan Patrick Show tomorrow. I want Dan's studio desperately. And some news out of Baltimore that's kind of interesting. And you and I both follow European soccer, so we've seen this before, where a team, because of problems outside or inside the stadium, will be forced to play in an empty stadium. They've announced a makeup date for last night's game and tonight's game, White Sox and Orioles, both postponed due to the rioting in Baltimore. That's being made up as, and I'm glad they're doing this, a single admission doubleheader on May 28th.
I'm sure Peter Angelos isn't happy about that.
No, I'm sure he's not. But wait, I mean, you'd already sold to the two games, so I mean, you can't sell tickets to a 163rd game.
That's true, unless it's a one-game playoff.
The interesting part is going to be tomorrow when the White Sox and Orioles play. 2:05 first pitch. Stadium will be closed to the public. They will play before an empty stadium tomorrow in Baltimore.
Should be interesting because I don't know if you've been to Camden Yards, but it's you walk through that like a street, and the stadium is down, sunk into the ground almost. So unless they gate off that cut through between the Ravens football stadium, the bank, M&T Bank Stadium, I think it's called, and Camden Yards, which are basically right next to each other. I don't know how they're gonna keep people from congregating over there, but I think they have other things to probably worry about.
I would think so.
And a couple people are watching the game that's not supposed to be watched.
I would think so. They've also, by the way, the Ravens canceled their draft party because of the 10 p.m. curfew. So Rob should be back tomorrow with another edition of Nutmeg Sports. If he's not, Mike, if you turn on and Mike and I are still here, well,
a vagrant didn't sneak into the studio. It's just me.
So Rob will be back tomorrow, 2 to 3 with Nutmeg Sports. Stay with us. Kate Chaplinsky's going to do another set of headlines, but that's going to do it for Nutmeg Sports today. Tune in. Coffee break at 11. Coffee break at 11. Nutmeg Sports at 2 tomorrow. Stick around. Kate Chaplinsky will update you on breaking news. You're listening to HANradio.com.
Hersom Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Want to get in touch with HAN Radio? You can find us on Twitter at Hersom Radio, on Facebook at Hersom Acorn Radio, or email us at radio@hersomacorn.com.
Congressman Jim Himes is calling for a nationwide marriage equality on the same day the U.S. Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments on an important same-sex marriage case. The fourth-term Democrat called himself a proud, lifelong supporter of marriage equality. Himes said discriminatory state marriage bans still prevent thousands of committed same-sex couples from enjoying the same rights and benefits as their fellow Americans. Himes said states with these laws continue to ignore legal marriages that were performed in places like Connecticut, which he said helped lead the way on equality. Himes has joined with 210 Democratic House and Senate colleagues to file an amicus brief calling on the Supreme Court to throw out these unconstitutional bans that deny the right to marry for so many. In other news today, a Seymour man pleaded guilty to charges of keeping his mentally ill sister captive for years inside her filthy, locked bedroom. As part of the plea deal, 59-year-old author Gavin pleaded guilty in Superior Court to lesser charges of first-degree abuse and cruelty to persons. He faces 5 to 10 years in prison when sentenced in July. Officers found the 56-year-old sister covered in urine and feces inside a bedroom that police described as a dungeon. Neighbors told police she had been living in those conditions for years. An anonymous caller tipped off police last April, and officers went to the home at 10 Eleanor Road in Seymour. Detectives working on a 2007 cold case found additional human remains behind a New Britain shopping center this afternoon, according to various media reports. On August 20th, 2007, human remains were discovered in the rear of a shopping plaza at 593 Hartford Road in New Britain. Over the course of the next several days in August 2007, additional remains were discovered in the vicinity of the initial discovery. Police said 3 sets of human remains found belonged to women who had gone missing in 2003. The deaths of these women had previously been ruled homicides. Officers said that between 2007 investigation and today, the area has periodically been searched in an attempt to find additional human remains. Last Tuesday, officers began searching the area again using specially trained canines and equipment. Today, additional human remains were found. In other news, in the wake of rioting in Baltimore, area police departments are warning that officers could be in danger in Connecticut. New Canaan Police Chief Leon Krolikowski issued a warning that the unrest in Baltimore could endanger the lives of officers anywhere. Rioters in Baltimore have been fueled by fury over the death of Freddie Gray, who died of a spinal cord injury sustained while in police custody. He said the Baltimore Police Department's Criminal Intelligence Unit has learned that members of various gangs, including the Black Guerrilla Family, Bloods, and Crips, have entered into a partnership to take out law enforcement officers. Krolikowski said that Bloods and Crips and their followers have been known to be active in Connecticut cities, including Bridgeport, Norwalk, and Stamford. Trumbull High School's We the People team won the Northeast Regional Award this weekend at the 28th Annual We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution National Finals in Washington, D.C. The award places the team in the top 15 schools in the country. About 1,300 high school students from across the country take part in the academic competition, which tests students' knowledge and understanding of the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. The Trumbull team won the state competition in December at Central Connecticut State University. This was Trumbull's 4th straight championship win and their 20th win since the program was founded in 1987. It is currently sunny right now in Shelton, 61 degrees. HAN News Time, 3:09.